Hey guys, it's Van Diesel by our Craft Vanguard Deck Profiles. If you guys enjoyed, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and sorry. This time we're covering DZ Set 6, covering Rorowa. So Rorowa got his new evolution, which signifies the end of the Craycross epic story, which is interesting because I was just starting to give a crap about it, but to be fair, I don't care about things until they're actually over. But this new Rorowa, a lot of people had a little bit of negative comments on when it first came out, mainly because it somewhat replaced Verdescent Flash and OG Rorowa. But in reality, you can run all three in the same deck together. That is not what we are doing today, but you can if you want to. I just personally want to do it myself. Let's get this started, shall we? See what we got with this deck that is specifically focused on the new Rorowa. First today, we have our Energy Generator. It's our Ride Deck Crest. So you might want to Ride Deck Crest in your Ride deck. Auto Ride Deck. When you would ride, put this card to your Crest zone. If you win second, energy charge 3. Continues to have 10 energy. Auto begin your ride phase, energy charge 3. And then act once per turn by energy blasting 7. You get to draw a card. All around pretty solid. You get a free 3 energy every turn. And if you win second, you get an extra 3 on top of that. And while yes, your main grade 3 over here with the new Rorowa does cost 3 energy to use his main skill of, and yes, the new Rorowa literally took up most of the space on the Google slide. Thank you for that one, Bushy, for giving him 4 different skills. Technically 5 different skills if we count the subparts of the 4th skill. But if you end up not using his skill for whatever reason, and you need that draw instead from the energy generator, you can, though you most likely won't, because Rorowa literally gets you the draw anyways. So pretty much never use the skill to draw, only use the skill to get a bunch of energy. Moving on to our units, we have our starter in Bioware Youth Rorowa. Grade 0 boost, 5k show, 6k base, auto respond for second draw card, standard starter, enough to free draw if you go second. I feel like now they're not going to give support to the Craycross epic lines, and if you told me this originally back in set 5 when they first came out, I would have been like, oh, I don't care that they're not going to give them support anymore. But I've honestly grown attached to Rorowa because A, he uses a sword, B, I originally thought it was an arrow, and then C, I just loved Verdescent Flash so much that even though Verdescent Flash isn't in this deck, I still love this deck because it's Rorowa by association, and now if they don't support, I'm actually going to miss this deck, and I can't believe I'm saying that. But yeah, free draw if you win second. You can run any starter you want, though I would recommend this just for the sake of canonicalness, and also, yep, it's required for the grade 1 Rorowa. Then we have our 5 plant tokens, so you know, you just run plant tokens because Rorowa is a plant token calling deck, so you only really need 5 of them. Then we have our Momokke token, grade 0 boost, 5k power. This unit represents a Momokke token and cannot be put into your deck. Act rear guard once per turn, retire 1 or more other rear guards, and this unit gets 5,000 power for the turn for each unit retired for the cost. So if you board nuke yourself, he'll automatically get plus 20, which is a 25k swing, which is great. And the reason why I say 25k swing is because Glitter Rorowa, as long as your Vanguard is a Rorowa with Glitter, doesn't matter what grade it is, so it could be the grade 2, aka the second you could call Momokke. Continues rear guard, if your Vanguard, if you have a unit of Red Lean on the same column as this unit, it can attack from back row. All around pretty solid, so you know, you can get this 25k attacker or some arbitrary number between 5 and 25k swinging at your opponent. It can get more buffs from Rorowa and your token set order, so all around Momokke token is a very solid grade 0 to have. You don't need more than 1 because both Red Leanas only call Momokkes if you don't already have one on board, so 1 of. Then we have our Overtrigger and Source Dragon Deity of Blessings Bus Favor. Grade 0 boost 50k shield, 5k power. Overtrigger when overtriggering in your deck. When revealed as a trigger, move that card, draw a card, choose one muse. It gets plus 1 for the turn. If revealed during draft check, activate its addition event, what you can do draw a card, choose one muse, give it a crit for the turn. Your entire farm gets 10,000 power, and even though it doesn't specify, that is also for the turn. If your damage zone is 4 more cards, or the same as your opponent is more, not 4 more cards specifically, you get to heal a card. All around, Bus Favor is my favorite Overtrigger because, like an everything bagel, you guaranteed get the draw in a million just by simply, you know, getting the Overtrigger being revealed. But then if you drove check it, you get an extra draw, so you get 2 draws. Someone gets a crit, probably either the Vanguard or the thing you're giving the million to. Your entire front row is getting 10k on top of this, and your damage zone possibly gets healed as well. All around, I like Bus Favor a lot. It doesn't guarantee you the win, you sack it, but it does make the gap between you and your opponent so much bigger just by appearing. So 1 of Bus Favor. Next up, we have our normal triggers. First up, we have 2 copies of Serene Maid Alina, grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 4k base. We also follow it up with 2 copies of Frenzied Harris, so grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 4k base. They are front triggers and draw triggers respectively, and they share the same skill where continues guard circle. If your opponent's Vanguards are grade 3 or greater, they both get plus 5,000 shield. So it's really nice to have for that extra guard power, especially because Rorowa can end up sacking your own tokens to gain shield power in case you need it, but you don't want to sack your tokens unless you have to, because you mainly want to sack them off for, you know, Momokke over here. So being able to have these cards act as extra shield is great. You know, Lena's here for draw power since there are important units in your deck that you want to hit as soon as possible, aka this. So being able to draw into it easier is great. And then Frenzied Harris, well, you want to bully down your opponent with numbers, since most of the time your board will be a bunch of plant tokens. There might be some games where you brick, you don't see any of your Redolinas for some reason, and then you have to rely on token spam, which is still a valid option, and the front triggers are there to make token spam better. If you think that is unlikely in this deck, nope, it'll happen, because it happened, I think, with like the 3rd or 2nd fight with this deck, so yeah, I'm now going to do that just in case. But a total of 2 fronts, 2 draws. Then we have 7 crit, 3 copies of Peppery Pepper, grade Gridzo boost, 50k shield, 5k power. You can really run any crit here. I just to make a peppery pepper because it feels like it fits the theme of Rorowa technically being a Neo Nectar deck, and this quote unquote being a Neo Nectar critical, just by the looks of it and how Neo Nectar has been designed in the past. And we have 4 more crits in Aspiring Maiden Alana. Gridzo boost, 50k show, 4k power, critical trigger, auto rear guard, and the Violence unit boosted. Shove it to soul, choose our music, 2k for the turn. You don't have to run Alana, though I would recommend it just because, you know, it does help out in case you're spamming Redalina 24/7 and you could run into possible soul problems. It is doubtful, but, you know, you combine it with Rorowa Soul Blast over here, you're probably going to want to run the extra crits just for pressure, so a total 7 crit. Then we have 4 copies of Cheery Support Elf, Gridzo boost, 50k shield, 5k power, standard heal, and that's about it. You can run any heal you want. Again, I'm running this mainly because it fits the theme of Rorowa being a quote-unquote Neo Nectar deck, but it's up to you what heal you want. You can even run the counter heals, though personally I'd run just the normal heals because I like the consistent 15k shield over the fluctuating 10 and 25k shield. Moving on to our grade 1s, we have 4 copies of Stepping Calyx Salvia, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto when placed on rearguard circle. If your vanguards are grade 3 or greater, you may call a plant token to rearguard circle. Okay, cool. She's a free plant token to rearguard. She allows you to get more rearguards on board that can be sacked for something like Momokke's skill, or Rorowa's rearguard kill skill, or just initiate token beatdown. So all around, she's a nice grade 1 to have. You can run many other grade 1's options for Stoicheia. They have plenty. You could use the Order Revival. You could use the Signpost Fairy, I think her name is, or when she's retired, you pick one of your grade 1 or less rear guards and give it 10,000 power. I choose to make a Salvia because if worse comes to worse, I can bully my opponent down with a bunch of plant tokens. You could also run the mushrooms. The mushrooms, in my opinion, is actually the better option. The reason why I don't run the mushrooms, and the reason why most of you can probably already assume, I don't like to run cards I can't use the full skill of, and those mushrooms only can use the full skill if Granfia is the Vanguard. Is it a stupid reason? Yes, but it's how I choose to play. Take that as you will, but I do recommend the mushrooms over this if you're going to do it for the sake of making plant tokens. So 4 of Salvia. Then we have our PG Implanter Prevent Dragon, grade 1 boost, 0 shows, K base contains Sentinel, 4 Sentinels in deck, and also put on guard circle. Choose one feats that cannot be hit to the battle. If your hand has 2 more cards in it, choose a card from hands, guard, or standard PG. Nothing too special about it. Basically means this is only one of the cards in your hand placed on guard circle. You don't have to scrounge great, because that means you'd be as aggressive as in the early game. Just spam this. 9 times out of 10, you don't need the plant token call skill. Just summon her and beat your opponent down. But then when your opponent eventually counterattacks you for having little to no hand cards, throw down Planter Prevent and give them the middle finger, and you're good to go. All around, very solid PG to have. You can run Custodial Dragon or the new Honeycomb Xyrus as the PGs for this deck because they all have the same skill. I just prefer Planter Prevent because it came out close to the time of Rorowa's release. But technically that would be Custodial Dragon because Rorowa came out in set 5 and Custodial came out in set 6, but I mean closer to the time of release as in it was already available when Rorowa came out, so 4 of Planter Prevent. And then we have our last grade 1 in the deck, one of in the red deck, no copies in the main deck, of Awakening from Slumber Rorowa. And his sword just blends in so much with the background that I genuinely kid you not, 9 times out of 10, I don't notice the sword. In fact, I legitimately forgot the sword was here right until I clicked on the slide, and that's the first thing I saw. And it was good on boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto in place by riding from Biowide Weed to Rorowa, call up to 1 plant token to back or rearguard center. So all around, pretty solid. Also, he has Glitter, which seeks the fire regalis, which I don't know why that's important, but okay. This is also here for the simple sake of lore, nothing else, so take that as you will. But, you know, it's when placed, you get a free plant token to back row center. So on your first grade 3 turn, it's a 13k swing, which doesn't sound like it makes much of a difference, but you're not committing a hand card to board, and you're still forcing out your opponent now, where if they want to guard your Vanguard, because then you can aggro them later, they're going to have to guard more than just a 15k, because now a 15k with your 13k Vanguard, it's just a 1 to pass. So all around, Rorowa is nice for that little bit of an aggressive push, and you know, if you're going first, well then at least it gives you a free rear guard that you don't have to commit from hand for the skill of this Rorowa. So it's a 1 of in the riot deck, none in the main deck. He's good for offensiveness and he's good for consistency because one rear guard that isn't from hand makes the difference. Moving on, we have 3 copies of our first grade 2 card, which is a normal order, in Flourishing Hope. This card, it looks so cool that I legitimately made this my icon for my school account. I am not kidding you. And I tried to crop the moon into it and the world refused because for some reason it auto crops specifically to his lower waist, which is so annoying, so I can't get the sword, the moon, and Rorowa in the same picture, so I either have to pick this one or I have to pick this, but whatever. And it was grade 2 normal order, played if your Vanguards or Rorowa, it doesn't matter what grade it is, so you can play it the second you hit to grade 2. Shove this card to soul. Cool, free soul card, and then check the top 7, show to 1 glitter card from among them, reveal, put your hand, shuffle your deck. So this card gets you a free soul and can either hit Redalina, Momokke, Redalina, or Rorowa. This card searches almost half of your deck and gets you a free soul on top of it, all once you hit grade 2. This card is amazing. Normally, I would just say I biasly put this in here because of the moon. And that is partially true because I did biasly put this in here because of the moon. But honest to God, this card's really good. Like the amount of searching you get off this, and if you whiff, I mean you whiff, you still get a soul card. So you still have soul blast fodder for Redlina over here because you want to try to keep as many Redlinas and Rorowas in soul as possible for Rorowa's own skill. So yeah, 3 copies of Flourishing Hope. It's just a really good normal order, and I definitely recommend running it. Then we have 4 copies of Kind Intentions Hunter Matthias, grade 2 set 5k shield, 10k base, all don't place on rearguard circle from the hand. If you have a grade 3 grade Vanguard for roll in the card name, soul boss 1, retire 2 of the rear guards, choose a grade 2 card from your drop zone, and you get to call it to rearguard circle. Okay, cool, you know, you kill off 2 plant tokens you probably made, and then you basically are intended to call back Redlina so you can bully down your opponent with a Momokke spam, and then auto from a rearguard circle at the beginning of your battle phase. If you have a unit with Rorowa in its card name and a unit with Redlina in its card name on your board, you may call a plant token to a rearguard circle. Cool, so it's a way to fill up your board. So a play you can do, and a play that I commonly do, is I get to grade 2, I ride Rorowa, I use the plant token that this one called Murder It, called 2 plant tokens, specifically 1 behind back center, 1 in, I think it's typically like bottom right. Then what I do is, for the record, for Ride Line, I just Redlina. Then I call Matthias, Soul Boss 1, Merc my 2 plant. Actually, you can't do that. I don't use Matthias' skill, I just call Matthias. Then I call Redlina. Then I call, use Redlina's skill, Counter Boss 1, make a Momokke token. Use Momokke, nuke those 2 tokens in the back row. Now, Momokke is a 15k who also has the ability to attack from back row because my Vanguard's currently the grade 2 row, which has glitter. And then I use Matthias' skill to make 1 more plant token behind itself, most likely. And then possibly I even call Salvia, just to bully down my opponent with a full board. All around, that is a valid option you can do. It allows you to bully down your opponent and attack more. If you want to run more consistent ways and better ways of getting out Redlina, so A, it doesn't cost soul, and then B, it doesn't require 2 rearguard nukes, because sometimes that is a little bit iffy to deal with, you can run the Dual Nation grade 2, whose name I forgot, but it's like the one with like the weird horse dragon thingy, whereas like when she's placed, you can mill the top card, and then you can call a grade 2 or greater from drop zone or bounce an order from drop back to hand. You could do that instead of him, but I just prefer Matthias because he allows me to get a full board out on turn 2 if need to be for rushing. Then we have 4 copies of obviously our main girl, Drag Ritter Girl, Flame Blossoms, Redlina. Carry 2 intercept 5k shield, 10k base, act rear guard if you do not have a Momokke token on your board. CB1 call a Momokke token to rear guard circle, so cool, get you a Momokke. And then glitter Rorowa if your Vanguard's a Rorowa, doesn't matter if what grade it is. Auto rear guard when she attacks into anything by soul blasting 1, you can choose one of your token units in the same column as her, and the power of that unit until the end of the battle will be added to her. So essentially, say for example, you nuked a bunch of rear guards and you gave Momokke a total of plus 25, and then Momokke swings, and then you swing with Redlina without boosting it. You then soul blast 1, add Momokke's 25,000 power to her, so she's a 45,000 or 35,000. All around pretty solid, and the best part is she can be boosted for that, meaning if you want to boost Momokke and then just basically double Momokke's boost power, you can also do that. But the best part is, this ability does not require her to specifically pick a Momokke, so worst case scenario, if you are out of CB and the only thing you have on board is her and plant tokens, well, just pick the plant token behind her. It may not be able to attack from back row, but at least for Rorowa's skill, it'll be a 10k booster, not counting the set order over here, so at the worst case scenario, you're still swinging for 30k. Our Redlina's very good. She works really well with the overall token theme of the deck. She gets you a Momokke by simply CBing 1. None of her skills require your Vanguard to be specifically at grade 3. And she gets stronger and stronger the more powerful the token behind her is. So all around, very amazing grade 2 to have in the deck, 4 of. Then we have this thing. Wings Breaking the Shell, Momokke. So we went from this cute little baby dragon thing to this, which is really cool. Like, this is a straight up glow up for this card. Grade 2, intercept, 5k shield, 10k base, continuous. It cannot be called by 2 rear guard other than by its own ability, so don't try to cheat it out via some order superior call. It has to be specifically called by its own ability, and if it is on rear guard, it's also regarded as a token unit with the card name Momokke. So essentially, don't try to get this thing on board and then try to use Redlina to call it a Momokke token. It doesn't work. On the bright side though, because it's considered a token unit, it gets benefits from both this and this, well, though this thing gives power to all grade 0s, but my point still stands. Actually, no, it gives power to specifically tokens, so there you go. And then his main skill, the one that calls him from anywhere, act, hand, or drop zone. If your Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater, regardless of what it is actually, retire a Momokke token that's a grade 0, call his card to rearguard circle. Cool. So simply put, the second you hit grade 3, regardless if you ditched it for a ride deck or not, there's your ride deck ditch fodder right here, kill a rearguard, call it. So even if your opponent finds a way to murder this, unless they specifically bind it or bot deck it or send it to damage zone or soul, it's coming back to board. Great. Then auto, when placed on rearguard circle during your turn, retire another rearguard to choose one of your opponent's rearguards, murder it. Okay, cool. You nerf off your plant token. You're probably going to murder from Momokke's power skill over here, and then you just call it to rearguard or kill an opponent's rearguard in the process. Okay, also good. And then finally, the part that actually requires Rorowa, glitter Rorowa, if your Vanguard's a glitter with Rorowa in the card name, continues rearguard. If you have a unit with Lena in the same column as it, and you do not have another Momokke on your board, like you could do that anyways, this unit can attack from the back row, and if your opponent's Vanguard's also a grade 3 or greater, it gets plus 10,000 power. So it's 20k. So technically speaking, this Momokke does have a beat in the sense that if you kill your entire board besides itself, it could be a 25k, but still, 20k, back row attack, on place murder something, it can literally be called from anywhere for free once a Momokke hits the board, is amazing. Momokke is a straight up amazing grade 2. And not to mention the fact that it's intercept fodder, so again, because it can call itself from drop zone, if you want to intercept it or just nuke it via Roro's effect, you can afford to, because you can just call from drop zone once you got another Momokke on board. Easy 4 of. Kills rear guards, acts as guard power, is recyclable, is a 20k swing from back row, and it still does Momokke's job incredibly well. Easy 4 of. Then we have our last grade 2 in the deck, one of in the red deck, none in the main deck of the world 3,000 years later Rorowa, grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base, auto placed on Vanguard Circle, retire one of your rear guards. 9 times out of 10, you're going to kill the plant token that came from this one. You kill one of the rear guards and you call up to 2 plant tokens to Rearguard Circle. Typically, you call them to the same column, but if you do the play I described earlier, you call one behind Vanguard, you call one behind something else, and then you just make a board with that pressure. Either way, though, very solid grade 2 to have. It gets you 2 rear guards by being placed, allows for early game rush, one of in the red deck, none in the main deck. Then we have our grade 3s. One copy of the card that I honestly was not going to put in here, and the only reason I put it in here is simply because of lore and nothing else, and that's the Fire Regalis. Grade 3, normal order, Regalis piece. You may have one Regalis piece in your deck and use it a total of 1 time per fight. Continuous, cannot be played. Cool, so the card we have waited, let's see, it's set 5 when it first came out with lore. So set 13 is when OGD ended, so that's 8 sets, plus 6 more from here. So we waited 14 sets for this card, and the first line of text is you cannot play this. Cool. Act hand or drop zone. Remove this card from the game. Check the top 5 cards of your deck, shift to 1 card from under and reveal it. If you did not reveal a card, shuffle the deck and then draw a card. And if you did reveal a card, perform one of the following and shuffle the deck. If you revealed a card with glitter, put it to hand. If you revealed a card with a greater less than equal to your Vanguard, call it to Rearguard Circle. So pretty much this is always going to get a superior call, or you're going to get a free hand card out of it. But on the bright side, if you just end up flipping over 5 triggers and you don't want to, or like a 5 triggers and a PG, and you don't want to reveal anything because you're going to have to call it, then you can just choose not to reveal something and draw a card. So it is, and since it works from drop, it's also discard fodder. So this deck has a total of 5 cards that act as discard fodder, and then you can at least draw a card from that, or again, use top 5 search for a free rear guard or something. It's a good card. It could have definitely been a lot better considering the hype that surrounded it, and I honestly expect this to be a set order since you know these cards literally seek the Fire Regalius, but is what is. It's a top 5 search, it's discard fodder, either get something on rear guard or get something to hand, in worst case scenario you get a draw out of it, so it's not the worst thing in the world. It is here for lore reasons, but at least it looks cool, so one of. Then we move on to our other grades. Weirdly enough, this is the deck that I run the most orders in that isn't Zorga, and I cannot believe it. And yet, for some reason, this deck doesn't feel like it runs a lot of orders. Like, this deck feels so consistent with the orders it runs. I don't know why, but it's a total of 8 orders, because the last 4 orders come from 4 copies of Resolute Pair of Eyes. Grade 3, set order. After set orders played, put it to your order zone. I still remember this being one of my favorite set orders, because it proved Bushy is going to give set orders to decks that aren't just the Brancade decks. Play this by counterbossing 1, retiring any rear guard, if your Vanguard's a Rorowa, and then auto put into order zone, search deck for any one Merlina card, reveal it, put it to hand, shuffle the deck. Okay, fetches this and fetches this, which is great. So, if you need just Merlina in general to make a Momokke, you get this. If you need multi-attack and try to kill your opponent that turn, you're going to get this. And then continuous order zone during your turn. If your Vanguards are a Rorowa, all your back row tokens get 5,000 power. Unfortunately, it only gives it to back row, but at least Rorowa covers the front row, boys. But on the bright side, it stacks all of them by 5k and is stackable, meaning every single turn when you play a second copy of this, is going to get more and more power. And, since this is removing it from the game, I'm not so sure if that counts as playing an order or not. Someone correct me. I'm pretty sure it does count. No, because it says it cannot be played. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this doesn't count as playing an order per turn, meaning technically in this deck you can play 2 orders a turn. But, Either way, though, being able to get 5k to your back row, still having this free superior search ability regardless, but then also, again, being able to search your Redolinas is amazing. This card is great. The only downside to this is that it does eat into the CB, but I mean, as long as you're not getting your Momokke constantly killed, and as long as this stays on the board more than once a turn, you're going to be fine. So, 4 Resolute Pair Eyes. Really good for stacking numbers, really good for either getting your consistency makers or getting your, final turn plays. It's just all around a very good set order, 4 of. Then we have 3 copies of Unwavering Flame Sword Relina, grade 3 to 9% 13k base, auto rearguard at the beginning of your main phase. If you do not have a Momokke token on the rearguard circle, call up to Momokke token to rearguard. So she only gets you the Momokke if she's been on the board since the start of the main phase, which kind of sucks, because that means if for some reason you brick and you for some reason search this off of this instead of searching her, you can't get your Momokke. But hey, at least if she's on the board, she'll get your Momokke token if your opponent somehow survives the final turn playing kills your Momokke. And then Glitter Rorowa, if your Vanguard's Rorowa with Glitter, auto hand at the end of the battle, your rearguard Redolina's card name attacked. If your opponent's Vanguards are grade 3 or greater, retire a Redolina rearguard and a Momokke token, call this card to rearguard circle and increase that unit's power by the power of the Momokke token retire for the cost of this ability that turn at the time of it was retired. So say for example, this Momokke already had 20,000 power. I was going to refer to this Momokke because 9 times out of 10 this thing's going to die. Though there have been matches where I have had to sit on the OG Momokke for reasons that I cannot explain. But say for example, this had 20k plus an extra 5k from this order plus an extra 5k from Berlina, or not Berlina, Rorowa. That means this is a 30k. So when it dies, this thing gets plus 30k. So sitting at 43 plus possible persona rides 53. All around, Redolina is a very solid grade 3 for the consistent multi-attacking. Her skill literally costs no soul bots, counter bots, no nothing. She gets you an extra attack, meaning you get a total of 5 attacks? You get 5 attacks a turn, which is great. It's amazing for pressure. In worst case scenario, you can call Momokke in case your opponent does live through her turn. So 3 copies of Unwavering Flame Sword Relina. Good for consistency, but also really good just for finishing moves. So 3 I've. And we have the last card in the deck. 3 of in the main deck, 1 of in the ride deck of the long-awaited Crossing Interdimensional Thoughts Rorowa, aka the card I hate the most because it literally made me put the Google Slides in such a weird position just to have its full skill. Anyways, grade 3 to 9% 13k base, contains Vanguard Circle. If your Vanguards are grade 3 or greater, if your opponent's Vanguards are grade 3 or greater, all of your token units get auto rearguard when your Vanguards attack or retire this unit, and all your Vanguards get 5,000 power for the battle, and 5,000 power on top of that. So it basically has the OG Rorowa skill built into it, but better, because now they also get 5k. The downside is the opponent has to be at grade 3 for this, but most times that ability would activate once your opponent hit grade 3 regardless, since you'd have to get to grade 3 to begin with. But now they also get 5k, which allows for you to use so much pressure, because 25k base right there, plus this order, so 30k, which is amazing for numbers. And then again, token rearguard spam, so worst case scenario, if you have to make a full board of plant tokens, well, at least all of them are 10ks, and the back rows will be at 15 thanks to this. And then act Vanguard, once per turn, energy boss 3, draw a card, call to 2 plant tokens to rearguard, so you never have to worry about energy bossing 7 for this, because you're going to get the draw anyways, and you're going to get 2 plant tokens on top of that, so free 10k rearguards right here. And then act Vanguard, once per turn, choose a glitter from your rearguard or soul, bot deck it, and perform one of the following according to the chosen card's name. Now, if the card is a Rorowa, you can choose one of your opponent's rear guards and bot deck it, so great. And again, if you pick a Rorowa from your soul, it just goes back to the ride deck, and most likely because you're probably picking one of the ride deck cards. And if you pick the card Relina, you search your deck or drop zone for up to 1 card with a grade less than equal to that card, call to your rear guard circle, and shuffle the deck. Really nice that he kind of has like a reverse time leap skill, since, you know, in his art, he's got Chronos command in it, and then his glitter search to the fire regalis. All around, pretty solid. He can get rid of a rear guard by getting rid of any of the 3 Rorowas in your soul. More likely than not, you're going to soul blast at least one of them off of Redolina, so technically you got 2 fire shots on that, which is great. And you end up putting back a Redolina because maybe your opponent did live this final turn play, you lived their turn, and for some reason they didn't kill this Redolina. Well, bot deck this Redolina, immediately called this one that's still in your deck, counterbots well, make a Momokke, and then revive the Momokke that you killed last turn. All around, pretty solid. Has comeback ability, has rear guard fuckery, has the ability to basically make you a better energy generator, and ultimately the fact it gives your entire token rear guard 5k, so it allows for token beatdown to be a thing. All around, this is an amazing grade 3 to use. He does his job well. He adds that little bit of flair from Verdescent and OG Rorowa into his skills with these 2 abilities respectively, and then he puts on his own little flair with his last skill. He's like a combination of all 3 Rorowas in one, and I like him a lot, so he's an easy 3 of it for in the main deck for me, 1 of in the ride deck. Now, without further ado, that's it for this deck. I hope all of you enjoyed. Honestly, this deck is really fun to play. I definitely recommend you guys give Rorowa a chance in case you haven't already, because again, its ability to either mess with your opponent's board or get a better Relina out on board is amazing. He can get you do a draw and 2 plant tokens. Again, token beatdown is very fun to try to accomplish, and this deck has so many different supports that it can use, and having an infinitely reviving Momokke over here that only gets screwed over by prison is an amazing thing to have. So without further ado, I'll end this one here. Hope all of you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join us, follow Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next one. Dark set up your vanguards.